Okay, world history folks, this is the Unit 11, The Great War, Test Corrections. So we'll be fixing all the answers, going through them one by one. So here we go. Which of the following represents the correct order of events? Well, if you remember mania, capital M-A-N-I, were the long-term causes, then we said there was a little letter A. That's the short-term cause. So that's the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. So we should definitely be looking at B and D. Okay, after that, we want to think about what brought the U.S. into the war, maybe, or what ended the war. Go to the other end. What do wars always end with? A treaty. So the Treaty of Versailles would be the last one. Now, the Lusitania was what brought the United States into the war. That happened kind of in the middle, and then we enter the war. So you would not want Wilson enters the war before sinking Lusitania. So the correct answer is letter D. All right, number 2, building up a country's might. Okay, building up a country's military might, all but once. We're looking for the wrong ones. We're taking a bunch of colonies and we want to protect them. That's a cause of militarism. Forcing other nations to become members of alliances to protect each other, true. Causing nations to retreat away from war into isolationism. Now, remember we said all these militaristic countries were more eager to fight. So your correct answer is C. All right, 3. Another way to think about this is just look for mania in these choices. All right, 3. Which of the following is not a cause of World War I? Okay, well, look for mania. There's capital I. Here's militarism, rapid armament, lots of arms. Complicated system of treaties and agreements. That's letter A, alliances. Great desire for freedom. That's nationalism. So the correct answer is 3, or is E. They're all causes. And number 4. Which is not a cause of the United States entry into World War I? Let's go from the bottom. Definitely U-boat warfare, sinking the Lusitania. And they promised to stop sinking subs in the Sussex Pledge, Sussex subs. And what is letter B describing? Germany asking Mexico something? That's the Zimmerman note. So we did not enter the war because of Germany's invasion of neutral Belgium. England did, but did not the United States. So letter 4, which is not a cause, that's letter A. Okay, let me slide it down here. All right, why was the U.S. not involved in World War I sooner than 1917? Okay, did we lack the courage? No, it's not about lacking courage. Was our technology not good enough for weapons? No, we were about the same as everybody else. But we had a tradition of being neutral. Okay, we did not want to get involved in foreign wars. This is their problem, not our problem. Okay, remember we talked about with the propaganda, I didn't raise my boy to be a soldier. So, correct answer is letter C. All right, number 6. Why did the war devolve, which means go down? Evolve means getting better, devolve means getting worse. Why did the war devolve into a stalemate in the years from 1915 to 1917? All of those technological improvements, like the machine gun, poison gas, artillery, they were made faster than they could come up with battlefield tactics to get around them. Their old school battle tactic was charges across open fields, which didn't work anymore. And so they were stuck in a stalemate. Letter A. All right, number 7. Which set of nations is correct? The Triple Entente is Russia, France, and England, not the United States. Central powers, Germany and Austria-Hungary. They fought the Soviet Union, so they're not on the same team. The Big Four, England, France, United States, and oops, no, Austria-Hungary was one of the bad guys for us. Okay, Allied powers, England, France, and Russia. There's your correct answer. Okay, number 8. Which of the following was not one of Wilson's 14 points? Okay, so which was something that he did not want to do? Well, he wanted to help all the smaller nations, like the Balkans. He said, we need to stop building up so much military navy on the seas, and we need a League of Nations to prevent future conflicts, which we did not join. So they are all in his plan. All right, which is an accurate description of Germany's war strategy. Okay, this would be the von Schlieffen plan. And if you remember with von Schlieffen, we wanted to fight France first, FF. So, blitz the French with lightning war tactics, that's going to be World War II. Build up a defense, no, we want to win a quick victory over France, fight France first, then turn our attention to Russia. Okay, letter D probably wouldn't have worked, at least with the sauerkraut. All right, let's look at the matching. Okay. Number 10, forced Europe into a system of webbed alliances. Well, why did Europe start making alliances? Well, because everyone was getting so big and strong, they were scared that their neighbors were too big and powerful for them, and so they tried to find a way to join an alliance to protect each other. Okay, number 11, reflective of the immense loss and frustration left over, so the end of it, from the war to end all wars, the League of Nations. That was after the war. A bunch of countries tried to get together to say, we need to keep this from happening again because there was so much loss and the war was so bad. Okay. 12, tremendous loss of life as a result of the modernization of warfare. That's the Battle of the Somme. The Somme was when thousands and thousands of soldiers were killed in just a matter of days, which mostly because of machine guns. All right. 13, a misguided attempt to gain an ally. So this is somebody reaching out, trying to get somebody to fight on their side. That would be when Germany reached out to Mexico in the Zimmermann Note, helped draw the United States into the war. Okay, Germany was fighting in the center, the central power. And so they're fighting France on one side and Russia on the other. Well, the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk was when Russia left the war. And when they left the war, it allowed Germany to turn completely to the West. All right. One of the number one reasons for the Great War being a world war. Why did the war spread around the world? Well, that's because of imperialism. All these European countries had empires around the world, overseas colonies, and so the battlefields became overseas colonies. Right. A volatile mix, that means it's going to blow up, of ethnicities, religions, and nations whose nationalistic spirit was clamoring, okay, for independence. These were all the little countries that wanted nationalism. That's the Balkans. Remember, we said they were referred to as the powder keg of Europe. All right, an example, it reflects, it symbolizes the great rise in nationalism in all the smaller nations like the Balkans. That's Gavrilo Princip. He's the young boy who shot and killed the Archduke of Austria, Francis Ferdinand. He's a good example of rising nationalism. Okay, symbolic of how effective the British Navy was in blockading Germany. They had to use submarines, U-boats, and using those U-boats was seen as cheating. They were sneaking up, sinking ships. Remember, they sank the Lusitania, which made many people mad. Well, that shows you how successful the British blockade was, is the British finally said, we're not going to follow, or the Germans, sorry, finally said, we're not going to follow the pledge anymore. We're going to go back to sinking ships. Okay, a good example of how the Industrial Revolution, so think technology change, and not only changed the weaponry of war, but also the rules. Mustard gas. You can make it in a lab. Not only can you make it in a lab, but you can change rules and kill people with poison gas. Okay, last but not least, a symbol, it reflects, it's a good way to look at it, how complicated the alliances were. Okay, so in other words, this should show you something about the way one country fought because they had to fight for another country, and then that country had to join in, and that country had to join in, kind of like a bunch of dominoes falling down. Okay, that's tough matching. It was, I don't think anybody got them all right. Well, I take it back. One person got them all right, but that's tricky. All right, so some issues here. Because if you don't get the right answer here, then you don't know which country to label on the map. Tried to be a little forgiving on that, but let's just go through and get this correct. So the most influential member of the Central Powers, well, that's got to be one of the countries in the middle. And the country in the middle was Germany. So when you label on the map, number 21, or Germany, should go right here. I'm kind of moving my arrow here. Okay, a neutral nation brutalized by Germany. Well, the neutral nation that Germany invaded through to get to France was Belgium, right here. You can see where my mouse is, that little spot. All right. Quit the war because their military was so bad and because they had a revolution which changed their government. Well, that's Russia. The Russian Revolution, remember we talked about that their military was so bad they had to have 2 lines of machine guns, one to face the enemy and one to keep their guys from running away. So this would be Russia, and Russia is this part of the map over here on the edge, and it just extends all the way off the page here. All right, where were most of the battles fought on the Western Front? So if this is Germany in the middle, this is the Eastern Front, this is the Western Front. I had a lot of people put Belgium here, and that's not actually a bad answer, but remember, Germany went through Belgium into France. So most of the battles were fought in France. Here's France. And a lot of people put Germany, not a lot, but if you missed number 25, you usually put Germany, but read through the question closer. They are responsible for the blockade that increased the use of U-boats. Well, the British, England is an island, were the ones that caused the Germans to use U-boats. Okay. Had a lot of good answers here for 26 to 30. I think you guys recognize the use of U-boats, new technology, and how it kind of changed the rules of combat. Sneak attacks were seen as the right way to do it, yet people got angry about it. Okay, angry about the fact that mom and baby are going to the bottom, or that this person needs to be avenged. Okay, so good job discussing both new technology, submarines, U-boats, and then how it changed the way people thought about war. All right. Explain how this quote was reflective. Now, we struggled a little bit here. If you struggled, most people didn't do this. Okay, so here we are. We're talking about all these people who write and talk about wounded and dying, and they taught us that duty to one's country is the greatest thing. But that's not really it, because all of these English field guns open us on a super explosive, ceaselessly attacking us. We suffered heavily. So the change in war tactics had to do with long-range artillery, which is what he's discussing here. An example of how it created a stalemate, they couldn't move. They couldn't go anywhere. Okay, on the last day, here we are stuck. We can't go back and forth. And traditional views of war is that war was a duty to one's country, and it's a great thing. And, you know, that these teachers are talking about how wonderful it is to go out and fight and die. And these guys are basically saying, we're being attacked ceaselessly, we're suffering heavily, and we came back with only 80 people because of how bad the war actually was. All right, lots of issues with chronology. You know, kind of one of those things you tend to get all correct, or once you miss one, you start to stumble your way through the list. Okay, now again, when you're doing a chronology, it's always important to think, can I find the last thing? Can I find the first thing? That's one strategy. Second, even if you can't get them all in the right order, start to recognize, well, I know that 39 comes before 41. Okay, and so one of the good things to do would be to actually take, let me show you what I'm talking about here. Take a line, like literally, hold on, I'm trying to get my mark here. Like literally draw a timeline on your paper and start to put these in. Like, okay, I know that number, 39 has to go here. That's not a very good 39, but you know what I'm saying. And then, okay, well then maybe 41's got to go on this side. So write in 41 and start to move them around. Okay. All right. So let's go through what we got here. All right. First up, Austria-Hungary the Archduke gets assassinated, and so they deliver the ultimatum to the Serbians that say fix it or else. Remember, Austria-Hungary, first movement. Okay. Well, Serbia has an alliance with Russia, their Slavic big brother, and so Russia attacks Austria-Hungary. Well, attacking Austria-Hungary gets Russia into the war. Well, Germany has an alliance with Austria-Hungary. So your first three should be 39, 37, 38. Okay, well, we've got most of the countries in. There's one more country up here we need to get to join the war. And so fourth would be Britain enters the side. Now, we could have slipped in there, Germany invades Belgium to get to France. But for now, and we actually, let me go back, we didn't even put that France declared war on Germany. We skipped those steps. But it goes Austria-Hungary, Russia, Germany, France. Germany goes through Belgium, then Britain. Okay, so that's your first four. All right, so let's go down here. Now you notice we've got some United States stuff. Remember, we called American soldiers doughboys. I might not have done a great job teaching that or reminding you that, so that might have tripped you up a little bit. They called American soldiers doughboys because they looked so healthy. They were full of bread. We'd been eating. All those other soldiers had been skinny because they hadn't gotten any good food. So they looked like, skeletons. All right, well, this is the United States entering the war. Well, we can't go to there next because the Lusitania is one of the reasons we entered the war. So fifth would be the Lusitania is sunk. Then the United States is angry and enters the war. And then after the war, in the Treaty of Versailles, the Allies seek reparations from Germany, who they said was guilty of the war. And that would be the final. Okay, so there are your test corrections. As usual, you will write those out and submit those with a picture. I'll let you know which questions you missed, and I'll also send out the test slip and the test session for people who need it. Good job, guys. This is the last test grade, and so you've really got only one more assignment, doing remediation. Okay, there we go.